This is a Camcordertv production. Oh, don't drop it, don't drop it! Good evening, spooks and spookettes. I am Count Drahoon, and I bid you welcome to my feature of Fright. Now that cliché is out of the way, this evening we have a very special treat for you, a most monumental edition of Interviewed by a Vampire. Tonight I sat down with the creative team behind one of the world's fastest-growing audio drama podcasts. As of July, they officially hit the 4 million download threshold and continue to break the mold of conventional storytelling. Some may argue that their show is more of a comedy, but since it deals with some sci-fi and supernatural elements, I have deemed it appropriate to have them on my show. Plus, it happens to be one of my favorite podcasts. Here they are, Kyle Brown and Eric Kimelton, the writers and co-stars of make-believe picture companies King Falls AM. Gentlemen, welcome to Count Drahoon's feature of Fright.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, you guys are a big-time podcast. I'm sure you've done a lot of interviews. This is the first time you've ever actually been interviewed by a vampire or a monster or some sort of supernatural entity, correct?
We've talked to, the dukes of, Earl, but, not a monster.
But what about
we actually talked to an archduke.
But what about the Earls of Duke?
I think they're just dudes.
Oh.
It's on Skype, you never know.
Fair enough. For those that may have not discovered your show yet, give us the best elevator pitch you can for what King Falls AM is all about, and what do you think sets it apart from other podcasts in the podosphere?
If we're giving an elevator pitch, how many floors do we have?
That's a good question.
You take as many floors as you'd like.
Let's do 13. 13's a good one.
That's an excellent number.
So King Falls AM is it follows a late night radio show in a paranormal mountain town, and when you come in the beginning of it, which we're over 2 years now, you come into a guy named Sammy Stevens who does not believe in paranormal happenings, and he brings his producer onto air named Ben, who is all about paranormal happenings.
And King Falls happens to be a hotbed for everything paranormal.
Vampires included.
Oh boy, I can't wait
Are you sure you don't live there?
You know, it would be nice if I could get some commercial property somewhere in or around that area, but the listings, they're so exclusive.
There's a lot of open land though, man. Just think about it.
I definitely will. Maybe that's something I can look forward to in retirement if I actually decide to get to that.
Yeah, dude, it's a beautiful place.
Great. How did the idea for King Falls AM come about? And do you have any sort of influences that may have led you to create the show? For instance, small town living or various run-ins with supernatural creatures?
The idea, it just kind of hit us we love old radio plays. And the world doesn't have enough of those now. Podcasting can be that. Some people have done that. And we saw an opening to Eric and I are both writers, and we just felt that this would be a really good setting to tell a really big character-filled, character-driven story.
We could create a huge. We could create a little mini universe of it could be as big as we want it to be. Normally, we film things. We started out doing film projects and web series and such, and this is way more cost effective and
it can be bigger.
Yeah, be bigger.
You don't have to worry about like your budget to show a UFO in the sky when you can just describe it.
Take me through the creative process, just sort of a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the writing, the recording, and particularly out of curiosity, how you set deadlines.
Oh, baby. Deadlines is our middle name. So as you know, we're one of the only audio dramas that has not taken a hiatus. So we started May 1st of 2015, and we have not stopped. So we're 2 episodes a month on the 1st and 15th. So there is always a deadline approaching. There is always something to record, something to write, something to edit, and plan and plotting. Like, it's big.
Correct me if I'm wrong, which is more fuel to the fire. Your audience number has just hit the 4 million download mark, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
4 million, man.
That's incredible. That is the population of a small third world country.
Dude, we're all about the world domination. Like, we're slowly taking it over, I guess.
Exactly.
4 million is just a ridiculous number. Like, we've probably not met 4 million people in our lifetimes. Like, that's ridiculous. Just I want to say our monthly numbers for new episodes is like roughly the town, like the size of the town we grew up in. So it's crazy to us.
So you did grow up in a small town.
We did.
Do you
relatively?
Do you think that any of that played in the creative process of creating the show initially?
Absolutely. I mean, you write. They say you write what you know, and we know big cities and small towns. So it's really the ideas of a lot of the stuff. It's melding those two things, but I think from small towns you sort of get the pulse of, I mean, where we all live in America, assuming you live in an America count. I don't know if you're off in like Transylvania somewhere.
I will say I am recording in an undisclosed location in America, but I'm actually not from Transylvania.
Oh, okay. See, you were Transylvaniast.
Yeah.
Come on, right?
Apologize, Count. I can't apologize because Count Dracula. See, you've got me. I hate Count Dracula because everyone gets us mixed up, and I just have this whole horrible psychological thing against Dracula. It's a long story. We can go into it in another podcast, but I digress. I want to talk about the cast and crew. Did you sort of all know each other, or was this more of a traditional? You know, you did a casting call, held voice auditions and whatnot.
Well, like I was saying earlier, we used to film things, and there was something that we filmed called In Development. It was a web series, and the lead, one of the main characters from that show, became Ben Arnold on King Falls AM because he's a phenomenal actor, a comedic actor, but he's also classically trained, so he has a wide range. His talent is amazing.
The guy's brilliant, and there's a lot of people that came from that web series, and like a lot of it's friends of friends. Like it's been we have had some audition type things, but a lot of times it's like, who does this part fit the best? Who do we know that can fit into this? And we have like, I would say probably close to 30 people, and that's not even counting the people who do multiple voices. Like it's a huge undertaking and process, and like we have a big family.
For each of you, what has been the most rewarding aspect of this incredible journey from when the show came to you initially, from the pre-production phase, the production phase, and just this overall reception of the show?
I mean, I would say getting to constantly do what you love and have people recognize that and enjoy the things that you love.
Yeah, it was originally like just the little victories. Like we'd look at like our very first month, I think we had 183 listens, and then you look back on like how many listens you get per month, and it's just like, it's mind-blowing the support that people give us, and more so, like, when we do a big show, like the Christmas musical, or episode 44, which I won't spoil for anybody, but was a huge process and huge show for us. Like, you see the outpouring of support and how it touched people, like, it's an indescribable feeling to be able to tell that story and to share that with so many others. It's crazy.
I would like to take a short little break to inform our audience about other programs that we have here on Camcordertv.com. Hey everybody, Taylor Gentry here, writer, producer of this show, and owner of Camcorder TV. Did you guys know that I've got my own podcast? Yeah, it's true. If you like comedy, witty musings, or news about upcoming behind-the-scenes stuff, then check out Tay The Podcast, formerly known as the Camcorder TV Weekly Recap Show. Be prepared to laugh, to learn, and to be entertained. You won't really learn, but you will laugh. Unless you're not into that sort of thing. Tay The Podcast, available on camcordertv.com and iTunes. And don't miss Tay the Web Show on the Camcorder TV YouTube channel. The time has finally come. After many long months, Camcorder TV is finally ready to bring forward the very thing that will bridge the divide in this country.
How about this one? Because we're never going to talk about it again. Public nudity. How about it?
I'm just saying, I support my right to go out on my yard and get my male butt-ass naked in all my glory.
Well, maybe not. Common Ground with Colin and Braden. Now available on CamcorderTV.com, YouTube, and the Tay The Podcast feed on iTunes. Do you have any favorite episodes or favorite characters on the show?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I'd say Herschel Baumgartner, the crotchety old man on the show, is my favorite character.
I do relate to Herschel quite a bit.
Howard Ford Beauregard, the vampire, not so much.
Yeah, he falls on that Count Dracula side. He's not a Count Drahoon.
Right. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you comparing the more despicable ones to the Dracula side of vampire.
For sure. I didn't realize that was a thing until you said it, but now it just clicks in.
It's perfectly fine. Unfortunately, it's a mistake that keeps reoccurring. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the accent or the cape or the unusually alluring charm. It could be a number of things. So it's all right. All is forgiven. I promise.
Herschel's always a big one, a fun one for us. Archie Simmons, I love to death. Ben, of course. I mean, Ben hits really close. I just love Ben's performance. I love Noah's performance of Ben, like the Ben and Emily of it all. Like, there isn't a character that I dislike, but there's a lot of characters that are just like, oh man, I can't wait to dig into this.
Of course, and I have caught myself falling in love with the emotionality and the real chemistry between Ben and Emily. I find that angle of the show very refreshing and so unconventional in podcasting, but I think that's why you all are at where you are, so to speak. Before we wrap up, I'd like to do a fun little King Falls AM lightning round. So I'll give you a question and try to take no more than a minute per question. So here we go. Question number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Who is the one character on the show you'd want to be trapped on a deserted island with?
Archie Simmons, because I love that song. Archie's Pomsey Palace.
That is a good one.
I'll say Cynthia Higginbotham.
Cynthia Higginbotham, all right. Which character is most likely to have a lucrative career as a country music singer?
Not Dusty Reynolds.
I would say Sheriff Gunderson.
Ooh, Good one.
That is a good one. He's got the voice for it. How does one become a man's man?
Well, you find all of your manliest friends, and you get an 80s rock band.
Hair band.
Hair, both on the head and on the chest.
Definitely chest.
And you just
do man stuff. Like real man stuff. Chop down trees and build stuff.
Chop down
Race
trees.
cars and build cars.
Chop down trees with your bare hands, of course. Not just an axe. You use the axe as auxiliary.
I think practically can do it.
It's definitely, yes. You turn on a episode of Walker Texas Ranger, and you just roundhouse a tree until it falls down.
Yeah.
I'd say
flannel, maybe.
Definitely. Flannel adds a punch to it.
It sells it.
Do you think ISIS fears Herschel Baumgartner?
They should.
Oh.
We should all fear Herschel Baumgartner.
I fear Herschel Baumgartner, and I love him.
He's been in every war since World War II through Desert Storm.
He knows all the ways to make a man talk and to shut up.
And you
It
can't
does not play.
and you can't kill him. You can't kill him.
You can't kill him as in he can't die, or we can't kill him.
You know what? You take that however you want to. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Does King Falls have room for a horror host on public access?
You know, Channel 3 is kind of hopping. Like, between, like, Masterpiece Theater and Downton Abbey, there's room for something.
Good, because I'm looking for an extra part-time job if they're hiring.
They're looking for a host for the cross-dressing werewolf show.
It may be a bit of a stretch, but if the money's good, I might look into it.
Yeah, you know what? We've got the number for Janice Finkel. We'll hook you guys up after this.
Excellent. Sounds good. This concludes the King Falls AM lightning round. Thanks for playing, gentlemen. That was an excellent round.
Did we win?
You always win. You're on Count Drahoon's feature of Fright. It doesn't get any more victorious than that, wouldn't you say?
Awesome.
I thought we were going to get an all-expense paid trip to Drahoon.
Undisclosed location.
Well, we'll have to work it in with the producers here at Camcordertv. I don't have any. I mean, if you want to come here, you're more than welcome to. But there's all these waivers and legalities, and apparently
You've got the poll count.
I have the pool, but you know, the producers, they're just really afraid of letting the general public meeting a vampire, and I think it's ridiculous, but I'm only an 1,000-year-old vampire, so what do I know, right?
We feel you.
Yeah.
So, looking forward, is it possible for the Make-Believe Picture Company to branch out and try new podcasts or different media?
Yes, absolutely. We are actually wanting to make King Falls AM an animated series.
Oh, that sounds like
Yeah, we
fun.
would love to be able to take King Falls AM into other realms.
It might give Family Guy a run for their money, which sometimes I'm not so sure that's hard to do.
Hopefully so.
So where can we check out King Falls AM, and where can we go to find out more upcoming information about the show?
You can find King Falls AM on iTunes if you want to listen to it, and you just type in King Falls AM to the search bar, and we'll come up. And we're usually in the top 50 to 100 in the comedy section.
I am making an edict for all of my spooks and spookettes that if you have not subscribed to King Falls AM at this point, do so immediately. It is a fantastic show, and it is one of the few things that keeps the count going. If we're going to be very honest with each other. And gentlemen, I want to thank you once again for joining us here on Count Drahoon's feature of Fright. I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me, and rest assured, you have an open invitation anytime you want to return.
Thanks, Count.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Count. You've been
An officer and a gentleman.
It
Unlike
was-
Dracula.
Exactly. See? Thank you. Thank you so much. That means, and you know
I
what?
hate that guy, I'll be honest with you.
Everybody should, and you know what? He does not have the talent to do what I do. You know, I know that sounds self-gratifying, but
He couldn't do it.
he couldn't. He couldn't. Here I am.
It's a fact. I mean, there's been radio for a long, long time. There's been podcasts for the last 10 years. I haven't heard Dracula do a bit of it.
Of course not. Everybody else does the work for him. God rest Bela Lugosi's soul.
There you go. There you go. Well, Count, we appreciate the very kind words. Who knew that you were such a soft-spoken and kind-hearted man like in that Ben and Emily stuff. But we appreciate you having us on and talking about the show and recommending it to your listeners.
Well, Spooks and Spookettes, that is all the time that I have. But be sure to join me next time for yet another feature of Fright. Until then, as far as things go, when things go bump in the night.
There are such things.
This has been a Camcordertv production. Thank God you didn't break it. If you have enjoyed tonight's program, be sure to like Count Drahoon's feature of Fright on Facebook. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Count Drahoon, all one word.